issue of nationwide injunctions being granted by federal district court judges comes before the U.S. Supreme Court next week. The court will hear an emergency appeal by the Trump administration regarding 3 separate injunctions placed by federal district court judges against President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship. So the court will hear arguments on whether an injunction granted by a single federal judge can actually be applied across the country. What are the legal arguments for this and against these nationwide injunctions, and how should we expect the Supreme Court to rule? Well, for all of that, we're turning to attorney Matthew Hoffmann with Battle-Born Injury Lawyers to break down the law for us. Okay, let's start with what exactly are they considering here when we talk about should you be for or against this? This is one judge, right, that is over a specific area that is able to right now essentially say, okay, I'm ruling against this, and it goes for everyone across the board.
Yeah, and we really didn't see this until the last 20 years. You know, basically it was here or there since the 60s. There was like 12 during George W. Bush, 19 during Obama, and then 55 during President Trump's first administration. So it's really blown up, and it wasn't a thing until the last 20 years. And the issue comes down to, you know, like when President Biden came into office, he issued an executive order that stopped all deportations for 100 days. A week later, one judge sitting in Texas said nope, and issues an injunction nationwide that stops it, blocks it. Or President Trump, when he came into office the first time, executive order was that certain foreign nationals couldn't come to the United States from different countries. 3 weeks later, a judge says nope and applies it nationwide. And so both sides of the political aisle are a little frustrated with this, saying, why does one single district court judge, which is the lowest level of the court system, how do they have arguably more power than the president and be able to stop an administration or a president's directives, nationwide? That's really the issue.
Okay, and so what do you think will happen in this situation?
Yeah, so I mean, look, you have Article 3 of the Constitution, which gives a certain amount of power to federal court judges, what's called equitable relief. It just means you can protect people from bad law. And then you have the Administrative Procedures Act, which came out in the 40s. That gives direct jurisdiction of one district court judge over like the EPA or the FDA if they have a bad law, and they can give nationwide injunctions. The question is, the APA says nothing about executive orders from the president. And Article 3, it's really questionable whether it really gives that much power to one judge. Traditionally, a district court judge in Nevada might rule one way, and that applies to everyone in Nevada. And a district court judge in Arizona or Phoenix might rule a different way, and it applies to everyone in Arizona. And then they take that, bring it to the Ninth Circuit. And then it goes to the Ninth Circuit, and they say which one is right. And something else happens in the Eighth Circuit or the Fifth Circuit, and then it goes to the Supreme Court. What's happening now is one judge is saying it, and then it's going directly to the Supreme Court.
And there's a reason for that, or at least there's a reason that's being cited for that.
Yeah, exactly, because you want to have that process where it goes through the different layers of the court and gets vetted and argued, so when it finally gets to the Supreme Court, they have a full record and not something that's real ad hoc or oversimplified. So what I think they're going to do, probably for their own sanity, is say, look, your jurisdiction for injunctions is limited to whoever's in your jurisdiction. Nevada has power over Nevada, Arizona has power over Arizona, and likewise throughout the states. Let's go through the traditional methods. You don't have a power to stop a president from their executive order going forward nationwide. I think that's how they're going to rule to finally give clarity to this, because it is quite chaotic, and it's getting worse no matter what party is in charge, and it encourages forum shopping. If it's a Democrat that's the president, they're going to run to Texas because they'll get a more conservative judge to block it. Or if it's a Republican, they'll go run to D.C. or what have you.
But some of these have, just for clarity here, some of these have happened under judges that Trump himself have appointed.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right, so,
it's not always that
right.
way, but the idea is that we don't want to encourage forum shopping or have this partisanship. We want to have a full developed record that goes through the whole system. Is it slower? Sure, but it's better, arguably.
You mentioned that this has been a problem for the last 20 years. What do you think happened in the last 20 years to make this something that we're now dealing with?
Honestly, what happened is that somebody finally just asked for it. Nobody had really asked for it from a judge and said, hey, I don't want just an injunction limited to Nevada. I want this to apply nationwide, and we think you have authority to do it. And a judge said, yeah, I do. And it's just never really been challenged. So I know that this case deals with birthright citizenship, but that's not what the court's going to hear next week. All they're going to hear is the nationwide injunction issue, and they're going to give oral argument on it, which is a little bit unusual in an emergency appeal. they could rule on it really quickly. We could see a ruling within weeks.
Oh,
wow. Worst case is it'll be by the end of June.
Okay, of course, we'll be trying to follow that for our folks at home who are interested in this, because it does have implications,
Yeah.
like you said, beyond whatever issue they're discussing. This could be something that we're dealing with for many, many years to come.
Exactly.